Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 104 on Wednesday, the 3rd of May, 2017. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week we will be talking about reckless Vauxhall, MOT delay opposed, Alan was at events, WRC Rally Argentina, and how to drive an Aston Inside video.
So,
and we're going to start out with the Vauxhall is reckless.
Yes, according to the Transport Select Committee.
Yep, this is follow-up. You may remember we have discussed once or twice about how Zafira Bs were catching fire. And initially we congratulated Vauxhall on the way that they were dealing with this, because they put out a video and said they were very sorry and quickly, please everybody just listen to the advice, etc., etc. However, the Transport Committee is not that impressed, because there's been 2 recalls now, and they still think that Vauxhall has not acted quick enough from when they first properly knew that there was an issue that was raised internally. Vauxhall have confirmed that they have lessons to be learned and the way they deal with things. But one of the things I did think was quite sensible, and I'm trying to find it in here, was I think it was talk about a standardized recall.
There was talk about standardized recall process. Yes.
And that made a lot of sense to me.
Yep. On the other hand, the SNMT were pointing out that the vehicle recall process in the UK is one of the most comprehensive and successful in the world, quote unquote. So yeah, I think we've got a pretty good system, really, but it could definitely. I think it's the first part of it, the identification of the issues, that's really the bit that
that was it.
Could be much better.
Yeah.
And it was to do with pooling the knowledge that the police have, that the insurance companies have, because sometimes the manufacturers can't actually see that, and it makes it much harder for them to spot trends and spot issues if stuff isn't going back to a sort of centralized place.
Yeah.
On the other hand, 183,172 vehicles have had that second recall, and that represents 79.1% of the sort of target vehicle batch. They're really aiming for 85, understanding that sort of 15% have disappeared into the ether, really, through accident, export, whatever, or sold to trade, in inverted commas. I couldn't really work out why that meant that it was okay if stuff, caught fire.
Well, it's not, if you've got a red plate, it doesn't matter. You're expendable.
Something like that. Yeah.
So
that was that. That's a follow-up for this week, isn't it?
It is. That's it. No Dieselgate, thankfully. Or no Dieselgate we're talking about. So moving on to new news, and Hyundai, to aid the Stand Up to Cancer charity, has launched the world's first contactless car. So this is an Ioniq that has 5 contactless payment points around the exterior of the car, which will allow people who want to donate to the charity, worthwhile charity, be able to do it very simply and quickly and painlessly. So I think that's a great idea. Well done.
Yeah, and the idea is that it'll be on show at King's Cross Station in May, and then it'll be doing a roadshow around the UK later in the year as well, with lots of appearances at Hyundai dealerships and all sorts of places. So you should be able to see it, and of course donate to a really good charity then.
We're talking of Hyundai, Alan.
Talking of Hyundai, yeah,
Event
it seems
1.
like a while. Event 1, I know. Just because I've not been on the podcast doesn't mean I've not been doing stuff. A couple of weeks ago now, actually, just after the last time I was on, then I went to a launch event in London where Hyundai were telling us all about their latest kind of essentially big campaign. Let's be completely honest, it's a big campaign. You remember over the last few years, there've been a couple of video things which they've done to sort of vaguely go viral, really, because they're pretty cool, whether it's about cars or not. So the first one was something I talked about not hugely long ago, which was the sort of essentially platoon of driverless Hyundai Genesis driving around a track on their own with one sort of potential driver in the front car, not touching anything. And the cars basically driving themselves around a circuit, each one following the one in front and spreading out. Second one was all about the astronaut's daughter sending a message to her dad, so that when the International Space Station went over the desert, then actually it was all written out. I think it was "Hello, Daddy" or something in big letter in tire tracks on the desert, so he could see it. And this third one is all about, as it says on the website, chasing a 100-year-old dream. So some of you will know about Ernest Shackleton. Ernest Shackleton was an explorer in the early 20th century he was like the third of the great Antarctic explorers. So there was Captain Scott, one of whose expeditions Shackleton was on. There's Roald Amundsen, the Norwegian, as well, who actually made it to the South Pole first. And the third is Ernest Shackleton. Because Amundsen and Scott had found the South Pole, they were the first people to get there. Shackleton decided that wasn't worth doing, but what he wanted to get was from one edge of the Antarctic ice shelf to the other via the pole. So he took a group of men down there by ship with the aim of crossing. What happens? The ship got trapped in pack ice and basically sunk before they started. They were in the Antarctic for 2 years before eventually they managed to sort of get most of the way across, and then get a small boat from the edges, and it's 720 nautical miles or something to go get help, and everyone survived. That's the big thing about it, is everyone survived. So Shackleton didn't quite manage it, but Hyundai's idea was that actually that they should help, that they could go back and they could actually manage that nowadays with significantly less risk. So they went to the Shackleton family and they said to his granddaughter, who was one of those type of ladies that only come from the UK, if you know what I mean. She was a fantastic lady, Alexandra Shackleton. I said, well, do you fancy doing this? And she said, not on your Nelly, mate, or words to that effect. But my son might. And so the Shackleton's great-grandson, along with a film crew and some sports stuff, took a Hyundai Santa Fe. Relatively speaking, very lightly modified across the Antarctic ice shelf.
Looks fantastic.
It looks great. Okay, so it went to Arctic Trucks in Norway, Iceland. Went to Arctic Trucks. What they did was they put portal axles to reduce the gearing slightly and to give it a bit more ground clearance, so you could fit these big tires in. And of course, it's got arches to support that, and some suspensions had to be changed underneath to do that. But actually, mechanically, that's all that's happened to it. So it's the same. It's exactly the same engine. It's exactly the same gearbox. The interior was, they're taking back seats out because they needed to put a bigger fuel tank in and sort of perch a spare tire on top. But the interior was fully carpeted and everything. There was no roll cage, nothing like that. And that was it. The engine got an engine heater so that it would actually start in minus 30 odd degrees with no sort of mains power to plug it into. And they fitted that under the bonnet instead of the washer bottle, because the washers were pretty much useless at that temperature anyway.
No matter, even if you
and that was it.
Halford's.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Even if you use pink florally stuff. Yeah. If you just put it in neat, I think minus 30 to minus 46 or something. It would need some help. The trip took 30 days. They covered 5,800 kilometers. And the only mechanical issue they had was a bolt came loose on one of the trailers on one of the support vehicles.
Wow.
That's all. I mean, this thing. I mean, it was a 1.6 diesel, I think, 4-wheel drive, Tucson.
Santa Fe.
No, I'm sorry. That was a slip of my tongue because it is. Yeah, it is a Santa Fe. Don't mind me. I haven't actually seen it. So yes, Santa Fe. I thought I got it in my head. It was Tucson. Sorry. Yes, Santa Fe. So and that was it. Other than that, basically the suspension being a bit high, so it didn't lose its sump in the first two days. That was it. The video is beautiful. It explains how it was all done. It's really nice. The site's kind of fun too because there's all sorts of silly facts like they ate 11 salami on the way and all that kind of thing. There is as is the way these days. There is a infographic with all sorts of dumb numbers and stuff on, which I thought was brilliant, and it was really interesting. One of the things that hasn't been made a big deal of is that Patrick Bogle to do this. They said, "Do you fancy doing this?" And said, "That would be a brilliant way. Yeah, that's a great way to celebrate my great-grandfather. It's a centenary of it happening. Yeah, let's drive it. But first, I need to go get my driving test. No, go pass my driving test." So the guy went, right, and he did one of these condensed driving courses for a week, passed his driving test, and then a few days later flew off to the Antarctic. So up until this, he hadn't actually passed his driving test, which is not mentioned anywhere. He was. It was actually his mother that told me that. But the Santa Fe looks fantastic. Arctic truck Santa Fe looks brilliant. Some people have driven it. Andrew Brady from Motoring Research, I know, has driven it, but I couldn't find it on their website. So yeah, I'll look something up. A couple of people have driven it. Now it's back in the UK, but that was quite good fun.
Excellent. Mm-hmm.
There's worse ways to spend an evening.
Yes, quite. Right. Well, okay. Well, from exploring, it's a bit more mundane then.
From the sublime to the ridiculous, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah. The government, and I'm not sure whether this is actually follow-up or not, but sounds familiar because I know we've talked about
tried to do this.
But I think recently we've discussed it. I know. There's been 2008 and 2011.
It has. Well, there was a.
I know there's the one about the classic cars that we have mentioned on behalf of Great Escapes, and that campaign to crikey, there must be MOTs for classic cars, please.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that this has been mentioned recently-ish.
Maybe not by us. It's 2008 and 2011 they attempted to do this, according to Autocar.
But anyway, the idea is the government wants to put the first MOT of a new car to year 4 rather than year 3, which it currently is. SMMT has performed a questionnaire based on this survey. Sorry, thank you. Using technical words, a survey based on this, which they've asked a bunch of questions, and essentially the answer is no. Please don't put it to the 4th year. Make sure it's the 3rd year because we, as motorists, trust 3 years. We are less likely to trust a car that doesn't have an MOT into the 4th year. So, as SMMT make clear, and as I think this is something that we as road users are wary of, there's things like the bulbs, tyre wear. They will still, and the brakes. Yeah, the things that are used a lot will still wear and need replacing, because the government are saying, oh well, they've got such advanced systems now that they don't need to be tested in year 3, but that doesn't take into account tyre wear and brakes and stuff like that. Just because it has a sensor saying these things need fixing doesn't mean someone fixes them.
Just because your tyre pressures are correct does not mean your tyres are legal.
No.
So, great. Have as many tyre pressure monitoring systems. That doesn't really make sense.
4
as you want, but yeah, all 4 of them. And TPMS, by the way, I think is one of the most egregious of modern technologies, safety technologies, because it just cries wolf so often.
It's not come up on rear view, I don't think.
Not yet, no. No. But it would do if I was on rear view. But yeah, that kind of stuff. It doesn't, just because you've got the safety system there telling you your tires are perfectly inflated, doesn't mean that your tires aren't worn to heck on the outside and are as
yeah. So no, absolutely not. We as this podcast fully support third year for the MOT.
And we're not the only ones. So 75% of people oppose a delay of the first year's MOT into 4 years. I can't now read my own writing. 68% say that it would put the safety of other road users at risk, and 25.6% don't think that there's going to be any risk to road safety at all. 17% of cars fail their first MOT as well, generally on lights, brakes, tires.
Yeah, and the government reckons that there's about £100 million will be saved by motorists, but I can think of other ways that the government could do things that would save us money. But that
our insurance will just go up. Be a few claims ever say, "Oh, that's not nearly as safe," so they put the insurance up because people are more likely to crash because they're more likely to have bald tires.
Are you in year 3? Oh, hang on, your insurance doesn't go down; it goes up.
Yeah, quite. So no, that's a horrible, silly idea, and sometimes we like these things because they bring peace of mind and safety, and you can, that almost got political.
Well, moving on from one quite necessary thing to another that's come up recently in the mainstream news, hasn't it, Alan?
It has, yeah. So one of the things that's come up recently is all about PCPs and basically the car finance selling, and I'm not quite sure where it's come from, but all of a sudden
there's a concern that there's subprime loans, basically. I mean, this has been talked about for a long time in America. Long time, and nothing was ever mentioned in the UK. And then this week, suddenly someone's gone, oh, hang on, it's subprime loans. So I don't know whether that was the mainstream press going, we need to find something else to talk about, or whether the people have suddenly realised the way cars are being sold over here perhaps isn't.
I mean, I do wonder, and I don't want to upset any of our listeners or anything, but sometimes when you look at these and you look at some of these lease deals and some of these PCP deals, and you see them over 5 or 6 years, and you think, for a lot of this time, you're going to be paying for something that is worth much, much less than the amount you're paying. You know, it goes on for a long time, and the sort of break-even point is a long, long way down the line. By the time a car is 5 or 6 years old, it'll be worth the tiniest fraction of what it was worth.
Well, I know when we do a car review, we now mention PCP deals because that's how many people buy them, but we only talk about 3 years.
Yeah,
that's the sort of area that we're talking about.
And that's part of my thing. But it's not just that. It's that people are doing some of these deals, and I've seen that you can take out these deals on used cars as well.
Yeah.
Now, there's also a couple of catches, is that people don't realize that some of these deals are mileage dependent and, of course, condition dependent as well. But lots of these things should already be covered here in the UK. What you should get whenever you're taking out any kind of finance deal or anything like that is you should get things like a key facts document, which runs through the things that you need to know and you need to understand as part of that. And that is mandated by law. I know that each time I've taken out car finance over the last 5, 6, 7 years, then that's been part of it. Is you do the first page should be the key facts and stuff. It's all part of treating customers fairly, which was a big thing after the last set of. It's been around a little while now. Now I think about it, of basically making sure that it's hard for people to get into these areas. You've really got to have not read the documentation in many cases. What I wanted to draw people's attention to, though, is a what car Car Finance Explained article from last updated 7th of December 2015, which goes through each of the different types of car finance that's available and what the conditions are that this might be a good idea.
Yeah, it's quite simply
and
written.
It's really
quite
good.
Understandable.
It is really nicely written. I've had a good read through it about why you might want to have do one thing, why you might not want to do another, and all these kind of things. So so it's worth a read if you're confused by this.
Yeah, if you want help, clarification on it, then the link is in the show notes, and it will make it crystal clear to you, I think. Anyway.
And a really good thing to send to other people who are asking you, what should I do about this, that, or the next thing? Then it's a good thing to send out.
Yep.
Yeah, there's great reasons to do PCP, all those kind of things. You might hear me mutter that I don't do it, but that's because my mileage is hugely variable. Thanks to work and stuff.
It's about halfway out.
Yeah, that's we worked our way through that. And yes, you're right. It is about halfway through. So now is a perfect time for me to remind you all about the Patreon that we launched recently. Originally, we tried to phrase it in terms of pints and all sorts of stuff like that, and realized basically halfway through the description of it that made it sound heinously complicated. There'll be a link in the show notes, a link on the front page of our site to patreon.com/motoringpodcast. To this fantastic way of basically being able to support what we do and help us grow and improve and all of these kind of things. There's now a bunch of levels that you can subscribe at. You can subscribe for any amount you want. These are really just suggestions. And at different levels, the idea is that we give you different stuff back to show our gratitude and appreciation for your effort and, let's face it, your cash. There's also a set of targets on there. So just so that you know what we're aiming to do as we're able to raise different amounts per month there. So our first target is $20 a month. And I'm sorry it's in dollars. It's an American site. It's all they do. Right the way up to, yes, $10,000 a month. So if anybody does fancy paying
$2, not $20.
No. Our first target is $20.
Ah, yes, of course. Sorry.
Yes,
I was listening.
Right.
Honestly, I was listening.
Yes, I could tell by the fact that you didn't look like you were listening. Up to $10,000 a month, because let's face it, if any of you want us to do this full time at that kind of amount, yes, of course we will. But have a little look. There's some description. There's some stuff in there. We'll be linking from the show notes, linking from the front page of the site. And if you can take 2 minutes to support what we do, that would just be great.
It would.
It would. Also, don't forget, if you don't have any money at all, if you can't afford, and that's fine. That's no problem at all. What you could do is leave a review and a rating on iTunes or the podcast playing platform of your choice, because that really does make a big difference to us as well. Of course, if you can do both, then that's even better. I think that just about covers that, really, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
Well, you were at because it's been so long since you've been on this podcast. You were at another event.
No, I haven't been home, everyone. That's basically the outcome, is I've barely been at home. So yes,
didn't smell a vision, thankfully.
I'm in an apartment these 3 nights, and there's even a washing machine. So even if it was smelly, then you wouldn't smell it. On which side?
So where were you, Alan?
I was at Japfest at Silverstone on Sunday, and I was invited along by Ian Seabrook, Dolly Wobbler,
friend of the show, to show Victor the Vegas on the retro Japanese stand, as well as quite a lot of other quality retro Japanese stuff. I mean, I could quite happily have just picked up
the AutoZam AZ1, you know, the little gull-winged K car.
Yep.
And taking that home with me because it was so cute, absolutely box standard, immaculately clean, and just lovely. All sorts of other stuff there. Ian's SMX was there. There were early.
Did you have to help it?
Maybe he forgot to turn his headlamps off.
Oh no! Oh, ouch!
So yeah, I had to jump start here, and then I wouldn't. Then Victor wouldn't start after the jump start after I demonstrated, because then I'd been asked to how you got to the spare wheel. So then I demonstrated that, and then you have to turn him off, and then he wouldn't start. So I had to jiggle all the connections. Saturday was actually spent giving it the first wash in about 6 months, and the first time the cladding had been treated in 3 years. Anyhow, Japfest.
It looked well for it, to be fair.
It did. He polished it up nicely, and if you make sure to take the photo from about 20 feet, it's just perfect. Oh, you think I'm kidding?
No.
So yes, it did look good. It got loads of. It got to the point towards the end of the morning where I wasn't. I felt I was getting in people's way by sitting in them as I was trying to put videos together and stuff. So I ended up sitting on the ground, having forgotten to take picnic chairs in my rush and panic and general lack of organization. I ended up sitting on the ground instead of over to the side and staying out of people's photos whilst they took pictures of him. So that was quite cool. I'm told he went viral on Snapchat, but given that I'm about 15 years too old for Snapchat, I have no idea at all. But anyway, there's loads of other cool stuff. Let me stop talking about my car and let's talk about some of the other stuff. There's just everything Japanese. I mean, there were carpets. Basically, the Silverstone infield was carpeted in Subaru WRXs, Mitsubishi Lancer Evos, Mazda MX-5s.
Skylines.
There were a fair number of Skylines, fair number of Supras. Not quite the same level of carpeting. Maybe it was like a small runner or a little rug, as opposed to the edge to edge of the Evos and the Scoobs and stuff in there. And then there was lots and lots of really interesting stuff. And that to me,
and imports.
Not just imports, but just the oddities. I mean, lots of those Evos and stuff were imports. But the oddities, much like the Vehicross there, and some of the older Celicas which have survived. Some of the K cards I think are brilliant. So sort of Daihatsu Miura, Dagon, ZZ, whatever thingies. Somebody will correct me that I've missed out something in there. A little turbocharged 600cc Suzuki Altos, all sorts of things. Just all that sort of cool, different stuff, as well as just some really, really tiny modified cars there, which was brilliant, and some beautifully mint old ones. I mean, there was just people who keep these cars in such fantastic condition right the way through. It's just
I just go for an older Japanese car. I mean, as I discussed, I think with Ian on the rear view he was on, you are truly dedicated, because parts are not easy to get for old Japanese cars.
That was someone was saying, what's the deal with the Vehicross? Is it hard to maintain? It's like, no, but if something happens to one of the panels, I have no idea how I'd replace it. Costs me a fortune. I know what, it's bad enough with the windscreen. So it's third windscreen in my third windscreen in my ownership, thanks to stones thrown up by other people. And
well, I think you just need to go full on Mad Max and just have metal thing with the.
One of them took 3 months and cost 900 quid to ship from Japan, and to make sure it was the bronze tint, not the green tint, which you can also get, and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. So, there's a certain amount of dedication. That's a vehicle which is. When did it stop being produced? 2001, 2002 or something, which is relatively new. Really, some of the 80s cars, it's a nightmare. I was speaking to, and I was saying this to, I was saying to Ian, and I was saying to Anthony Thingy from Evo, which I didn't realize at the time. Sorry.
Ingram.
Who you were, Anthony Ingram from Evo.
He's got an MX-5, hasn't he?
Yes. And we were talking about that kind of stuff, and I was saying that I'd seen some really nice original MX-5s that were in at Plug of the Day, Be Cool, Aircon, ECS in Kettering, who do a lot of my mechanic-y and spannering stuff on the Yaris and the Vehicross. But they were in there, and the guy was insisting to Dave that he had the original spec of Mazda pipes. They had to be the original Mazda pipes. And he was just like, we can't get them. They don't exist. Mazda don't have them. MX-5 parts don't have them. If they don't have them, nobody can have them. And he said, and I spoke to the Mazda tech folk. There were 3 different ways a Mark 1 MX-5 could end up with aircon. It could be fitted from the factory, fitted between the factory and the dock, or fitted on the docks at this end. And they're all different systems. They don't share the parts. He said, so trying to find these things is just a nightmare. So keeping cars in the kind of immaculate condition, this is what I was trying to get to, the kind of immaculate condition that some of these show cars are, is phenomenally difficult. Phenomenally difficult. So there's a lot of skill in there. One of the nice things about stuff like Jap Show, by the way, is, or Jap Fest, pardon me, is that it's not, certainly anywhere that I went, everybody's interested in all the different cars, pretty much.
So it's not clean.
There's not tribalism on a large scale anyway. There's probably tribalism within car clubs, because there is always tribalism within car clubs. But
well, that reminds me a bit of the Coventry Motor Festival, because that was something they were keen to try and do, mix everybody in together and not be section people across.
There was a little bit of section, but stuff, especially stuff like the retro Japanese stand, there was just such unusual stuff on it, just such cool stuff, or immaculate versions of stuff. I mean, there was an Mark 1 MX-5 parked beside me. When I say parked, it was displayed, not parked. I was parked.
You were parked.
Beside me, and you know, it was there, but it was the one that was on the last edition, I think, about modifying your MX-5. It was the one that was used there as the example for modifying, but not, you know, sort of drift, camber,
in a sympathetic way.
Yeah.
On
there. So no, it was really good. I've talked far more about that. The 2 videos I put up, I really should shove off a quick blog post with them both in. They're on our YouTube channel, motoringpodcast.com/YouTube, in the events playlist. There was one that I did about lunchtime on the day, but then didn't quite get up because there wasn't enough bandwidth for my phone, and another one which is the afternoon stuff. I think the second one's 25 seconds. The first one's like 1.5 minutes or something, just under 2 minutes. So yeah, go have a look at those. Give you an idea of what was there. There's some thumping beats, etc., etc. So
thumping beats. We're so hip to be cool, aren't we?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
We are is artificial.
Tell me about it. Right. Yes, quite.
Tell us about the rallies. Come on, let's move on.
Yes, WRC Rally Argentina. Once again, my fascination and interest in rallying continues. Another wonderful event. The landscape was gorgeous in Argentina. I mean, the filmography, or however the technical term for it was stunning. Some of the scenery there.
It is. I mean, that really, the Top Gear special. So the scenery was fantastic whenever you could see it past the angry mobs.
Yes, quite. Yes, quite. And the fans that acted as fans do for rally, which is insanely. Slept there, stayed overnight because it was Argentina. They were barbecuing steaks about that thick. It's like half a cow or something, and that was just breakfast, and it just looked fantastic. But was it brutal on the cars? Really, really brutal.
I saw, was it Chris Meek that was upside down?
Twice.
Twice? I didn't realize it was twice.
Two
I just saw a very unwell looking Fiesta.
He was upside down once. He did go upside down twice. They rebuilt it overnight after one, and he came back in the race. And there was a hidden rock, and then Bream hit the same hidden rock that wasn't on anyone's show notes, in their pace notes even.
We have
Sometimes
show
it feels like
pace notes, yeah.
Hairpin.
Yes.
Titans.
Hard left, 4 into.
So they both got busted up. So Citroen didn't have a good weekend. And then,
Citroen, pardon me, not Fiesta. I knew it was the one. Yeah. I knew it was the one. Well, to be honest, I saw most of the top of the car. It was very hard to tell what type.
Bream and Meek. No, not good ones at all. But all the drivers were saying, there's some really scary moments. There was a lot of adjustments made after the first run on the first stage. People going, all right, the springs need to be lengthened. We need more. We're bottoming out as we go over these jumps and things. And another thing that hadn't really occurred to me was how critical the aero is on these cars, because there was a couple of them that lost their rear diffusers. I think it was Fiestas. Both were Fiestas, and they handled like pigs in comparison after it. I mean, one was by Evans, who was in the lead at the time, and then he lost his and lost something like 40 seconds as a result, because Nouveau, who won it, was on a charge by then. He had, this was, I think, the closest win in many years, because Nouveau won it by 0.7 of a second. And when you watch the highlights, it's possibly down to Evans just bumping slightly or rubbing slightly on a bridge that cost him, the win. And it was so close. And I felt so sorry for the guy, because, the first chance he gets to know about the result is, Nouveau's running up to say, well done, but, you're unlucky, basically. But 0.7 of a second is just amazing. But again, that's the privateers, because that's the M Sport. But so it's the first time we have a manufacturer who's won it before, which was always going to happen eventually.
Yeah, it really doesn't it? And there's more races than manufacturers.
But Nouveau, 2-2 now. He's on a bit of a charge. Obviously, he's very confident in the car. Toyota didn't have a great weekend. People with their drivers. Yeah, you can see there's a development going on. This rally didn't suit development for them, but it's Rally Portugal next time. But Evans was when his car was working, crikey, he was fast, properly quick. So if they can keep it all screwed up together, and he doesn't have, because he had a couple of mechanical glitches as well as the aeros dropping off. So hopefully this, the next Rally Portugal, then, we've got 5 or 6 people pushing, and if Chris Meek could get some good luck again, as he seems to have gone back to the bad luck after his one cracking race. So, just amazing. So I think the standings now are, for people playing along at home, Ogier is in first place with 102 points. Latvala is second with 86. Nouveau is now third with 84. And then Tanak is fourth with 66. Sordo is fifth with 51. So, those top 3 seem to be pulling away with it. But as I think we've seen in every single round, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen next?
Exactly.
Because it's been stunning, and like I said, the photography on this rally was brilliant, and the highlights that were shown on Channel 5. So I saw BT's as well as the stuff that was shown on BT as well as Channel 5's, and Channel 5. If you only have Freeview, definitely set your recorders to stun on that, because they do a great show in an hour to sum up the whole 3 days, including talking to the drivers and things. So really well done.
Fantastic. Great. Good stuff. Thanks, mate. So yes, hard left tightening into Drive It Day 2017. So that was a week past Sunday.
Yes.
Yes, it was a week past Sunday. And there is there's an extra piece on motor research by Richard Alcock saying all about the Bicester Heritage Sunday Scramble and his experience in it there. Some great pictures. There's like 75 pictures, so I haven't been through all of them yet, but it's really nice just reminding everyone about how important it is. If you've got classic cars, this is a great festival of going out, driving the classic cars. This is the start of the basically start of the classic car season. I'm here in Sweden, and and tonight you can tell that the sun's out in Sweden by the number of classic American cars and stuff that have appeared on the roads since when I was here last month, and they were still all tucked up. But such a fantastic mix of stuff. It's really, really worth having a read through, having a flick through some of Richard's photos, because it's really good. At the same time, by the way, I stumbled across the start of the Tour Auto in Paris. This isn't actually in the show notes, so I might as well add it. I was sort of over for work, and I was wandering around, and I just kind of thought, that's a funny noise. That sounds pretty fruity. And then looked across the Champs-Elysees, and there was a Lancia Stratos and a Ferrari 250 GT turning towards the Grand Palais. So camera in hand, I shuffled on across and had a good old look. And basically, certainly they were out exercising some of the finer classic cars in and around Paris, and it turns out northern France for the rest of the week. Just there, some great stuff. Everything from Alpines to Ferraris to Mini Cooper S's and stuff. But yeah, have a look at this article of Richard's, because it's really good and really interesting, and it's got all the kind of. It's not. I don't want to demean stuff by saying it's not all just MGBs, but it's covering new cars, classic cars. He did the run from the Sunday Scramble from Toaster Racecourse to Bicester Heritage down at Bicester, surprisingly enough, in a Volvo P122 Amazon, Volvo Amazon, yes. Anyway. 5,000 miles to the gallon, knowing him. But yeah, lots of cool stuff. Really interesting. Go have a little bit of a read, and yeah, I love some of the cars that he spotted and taken pictures of, including Alpine.
Yes, definitely. If you have a car, drive it.
One of which I think belongs to one of our listeners. In that picture. There we go. Anyway.
Well, talking of classic cars, etc. Our list of the week is Autocar's 100 Most Beautiful Cars.
Yes.
Now, we are not going to run through all 100 of these. Do not worry.
I bet that's a relief.
There is a link in the show notes where you can go through each of these yourself. There are some ones that are predictable, and there are ones that are less predictable.
Well, this is an update of the list that they last did 15 years ago. So they've taken that list and they have updated it to account for the last 15 years worth of stuff. 15 years worth of new cars. So I had a quick flick through, and there are some new risers in there.
I mean, the BAC Mono.
That is one of them. Yeah,
beautiful.
There's some others which are less predictable.
The Evoque,
I think. Yeah, but I think that's an interesting reflection of the way vehicle design is going in general, is incorporating SUVs. And I listened to some of the reviews recently, so yeah, so I don't want to get myself into too much trouble there. But yeah, there's an interesting mix of very classic, very new ones. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but mercifully, number one is still a classic car.
I think we can.
It's not something new from the last 15 years, because that would just, I don't know, it would cheapen the list for me. But it contains everything from Citroen CX, from the wonderful Citroen CX to the 2002 Bentley Continental GT, which I think is significantly less wonderful. And if it was me, it wouldn't be in there. It includes one of my favorite cars.
Audi TT Mark 1 as well.
Yeah, that was always going to be in there. Also includes the Alpha TT. Try again, Alan. The Alpha T33 Stradale, which, by the way, is one of my favorite looking cars of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's an Alpha, so it'll probably never start.
Oh, cheap shot.
I know.
If it's there, you've got to take advantage.
And I'll get called out for it.
Yeah, there are some gorgeous cars on there, and there's some on there that perhaps is not to everybody's taste. So go and have a look at the link in the show notes. And that just we're nearly there. It's nearly over. But I know Alan and I have discussed this off air many times. We've often wondered what is the etiquette for driving your priceless Aston Martin when you first take it into a warehouse?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, thankfully, Aston Martin have heard these many calls to clarify this situation and have organised a video to show, depending on which Aston Martin you have, exactly how you are to drive it around an empty warehouse. And it is in the show notes for you to see. So when you take your priceless Aston Martin into an empty warehouse, you too will now know how to drive it. It's just what a wonderful video.
It is.
Absolutely brilliant.
It's really Aston Martin celebrating their new factory at St Athan in Wales before they actually put anything inside the factory. And it's well worth the video. I was prepping for the show, and there was 6 minutes 49 seconds in which I didn't do any prep. It's why some of the other stuff I was meant to do before the show hasn't actually been done yet, because I sat and I watched this right the way through, and I think it's such a brilliant mix of Aston Martins that are involved and that are featured in it. There's a silly number in there, isn't there? £65 million worth of Aston Martin. So about 2 Ford Fiesta XR2s.
Today's prices.
Today's prices.
Tomorrow there may be more.
Maybe 1.5 tomorrow. But no, absolutely fantastic. I love that it includes crazy stuff like the Virage Vantage.
Ding.
Yes, just everything. Hey, there's only one ding's impressive. But just lots of stuff. Have a watch. Worth minutes of your time. Link in the show notes as ever.
Mm-hmm. And by
the way, there is one warning. There is one warning. St Athens is in Wales. There is a male voice choir involved. Just a quick point. I know that.
Well, they're legally obliged, aren't they? If you're going to Wales,
it's much like if it was in Scotland, there would be the Skirl or the Pipes at some point.
Yeah, it's legally obliged.
I feel it's fair to point out to Welsh people that there is a male voice choir involved.
Mm. There is also a link to an article on Top Gear that shows how they made the video as well. So that is in the show notes.
Fantastic.
And that is us.
It is. That's us. That is us for this week. We're doing so well.
Between now and next week.
Yes, don't forget. Sorry, I've been away for a week.
You do 1 week where you don't do this.
One week, and I completely lose track. I was so busy yakking, I hadn't prepared myself. So don't forget, everyone, like I just have, that between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts with the show at Motoring Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, on Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Please don't forget to have a little bit of a look at our Patreon offer, and even better than just looking, to actually pledge and subscribe and give some of your money. There is something in it for you as well. If you're not able to do that, then that's not a problem at all. Please, if you could leave a review and rating on iTunes or other podcast players, that would just be brilliant. That really, as I said earlier on, does matter. In between all of those things, Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
The best way would be via Twitter if you search for Crack Windscreen. And Alan, if people want to tell you how the show ends normally, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yes, to remind me how to work Trello, everyone, you can get me on Twitter where I'm at AJP Bradley, Bradley. We'll be back next week. But until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clews.
And safe motoring. What a twonk. You're going to leave the big awkward pause in as well because you're a gid.
I have to make our next statements context. They've got to be in context.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they do. That's the thing. As soon as you comment on it, it's like, right, okay, so he's not cutting that bit. That's fine. I don't mind.
I don't mind.
I'm just drinking water. Look, water. You got beer, you bugger. I did. I went, you know what? Actually, I this sounds terrible. I drank so much last week. Did actually beer last night. I'm feeling particularly fat at the minute.
Oh no, I don't feel particularly slim.
So no, I actually had quite a lot to drink last week just because Paris and everywhere. Oh, not that I could, but it was kind of one of those things. And then, to be honest, Wednesday night and Thursday night, Friday night, mate. I was in my bed by 9 o'clock. Friday night. Got 12 hours of sleep, and it was fantastic.
Yes, you were complaining of gibberishness.
Oh, yeah. Barely hang words together.
Right.
That's right.
Unpause Dropbox.
Okay. I shall do that right now, and I shall speak to you before long.
Take care, sir. I will get the Subaru out Friday.
Subaru.
Friday.
Yeah, if you don't manage miraculously to record something else tomorrow. Yeah, but, the video's all edited and ready to go, so if you just let me know, I can.
Okay.
It's just a case of activating it because it's actually up on the YouTube.
All right, no worries.
This one will probably go up tomorrow night.
Okay. You back home tomorrow?
No, I'm here.
Still,
but I've got no mates because Malcolm's wife jiggered her back over the weekend, so he's had to stay home on help her to the loo, help her up and down and roundabout duty, but he can work from home. So it's
okay.
We're doing regular Skypes throughout the day.
All right.
It's not the easiest way to do it, but it means it works, and it's a Kia, and they completely get it because they're humans.
Mm.
So there was one of those ones where there's some clients where you just think, oh God, now I've got to explain to this asshole. Whereas here, it's like he's had to stay home. I'd sent the email, and then the first thing I got asked this morning was, "Is Malcolm's wife okay?" And it's like, yeah, I just didn't know how much medical diagnosis to give you by email. Yes, she knackered her back. So, oh, that's okay. I was a bit worried that it might have been something more serious. I said, no, it's just something highly inconvenient. And everyone went, yeah, we've all been there. So.
Yes, spouses do that, or family.
Yep. But they at least a Kia, so they're accommodating.
That reminds me, end of the month, when we get the cars, I need to record on that Monday night. On the 29th.
Remind me what day we get the cars.
The 30th, which is a Tuesday.
We do get them on a Tuesday, don't we?
Yes.
I don't think I've got anything horrible in that. My calendar's quite quiet.
I need to record on the Monday night because we're away in Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. That's Spring Bank holiday Monday night.
Yeah, I'm driving us up to Yorkshire to go glamping, and then I'm driving back again that night.
Why don't you ask Hyundai to? Oh shit! Because you need
no,
2 cars.
Yes,
Yeah, damn bollocks. Everybody else gets them delivered to their holiday plate cottages, so...
Well, I haven't approached Subaru yet because I haven't put up their fucking episode, so I can't say, lend me an Outback for over a month. Oh, by the way, yeah, Alan did come and we haven't bothered to put anything up.
Yeah.
No, because I'm going to email Jade and say to her, we weren't happy with the first recording at all.
That's it.
Schedules have meant that we just couldn't record again until much later on, unfortunately. We weren't happy with the content and the quality of the content. That's what I'll say to her.
To be honest, mate, I went through it and I had it all done with all the images and stuff. And as I was going through it, I thought, I don't like this. And then it's like the whole, I've got to say I don't like it. Which is not easy, but yeah.
No. So if we can do it on the 29th, that would be perfect for me because I'll have an empty house.
Fab. Yeah, no problem.
And then I'll drive back on the Tuesday. And then we come back on the... When do we come back? The Thursday or the Friday? I think it's
so I'll just meet you in Coventry on Saturday morning then, yeah?
I'm not sure yet what's happening. It may be that I drive down, meet you in Cov, and then I crash at yours Saturday night.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've got to check that with Jenny again. What's happening?
It's all right because there's some debate and discussion as to whether Richard's going to be there too.
All right, cool.
Or Rich. So
I'd like to get Ralph.
He's not sure. He hasn't confirmed yet. So that was so it was a case of right. Well, you guys are tossing coins as for who gets the inflatable mattress in the sitting room compared to who gets the spare bed.
Well, after a week being in a pod on an inflatable mattress,
you're fighting for it. It's a very comfortable inflatable mattress.
But that's why I'm hoping to get Ralph sooner, because then I can do a tie into the Coventry Motor Festival.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Hopefully. I presume he's something to do with it.
I think so. He certainly was, yeah. I'd say you could ask Pot Bang Colour, but he's in the bad books because he seems to get all the cars all the time at the minute.
Well, musicians and artists are the way forward to get all vehicles, aren't they?
We're doing it wrong. You should have knitting podcast.
Knitting
podcast. That's what we need. We need knitting podcast. We're going to be talking about cars, and we're going to spread it to the world of knitters.
That's
what we're doing wrong.
I don't object to him. I could see the sense in him having the van because he went on tour with the van, and he's got 16,000 followers or whatever.
Does he have 16 bajillion followers?
16,000 followers.
Well, that's why he gets the cars, mate.
How does he get involved? How does Volvo? I'd like to, without sounding. There's no way not to sound jealous and peevish.
I know this is the problem with this whole discussion.
Because you think you could have a chat with Ben and go. So what does he do? What does he offer you that we don't?
You need to do it face to face.
Yeah,
it's different.
And just go. I'm not being churlish, or I am being very jealous, but I'm not being churlish. I really am interested that what does he offer you that we don't? Because he's a musician who, looking at his followers, are all young people, aren't going to buy a Volvo V90.
Yeah, I know.
They might go for a V40 that's a bit souped up, maybe a Polestar, but they wouldn't be interested in a V90. So why has he got a V90?
Yeah, Chris was busy this week. Whenever I would nominate mates, right? And he's got a new car. Well, he doesn't quite.
Oh, I saw that conversation on Twitter. Yeah. Because he's got a new V40, hasn't he?
Not quite yet, but he's got to prep the other one for the. Because he actually got it.
Thor's hammer.
Yeah, I saw that bit. I was kind of sporadically either lots on Twitter or not at all on Twitter, depending where I was yesterday. You can tell how bored I'm getting when I'm. Frankfurt Airport's fucking boring, by the way. It's fine, but it's fucking boring. Let's not under-egg this at all.
Alan sitting on the fence once again. Right, go on, go. You need to go and get some sleep. Go on and put up the other thing. Right. Have you thrown it into Dropbox yet?
Have I what?
Thrown it into Dropbox yet?
No.
Oh, come on. We've been talking for 30 seconds. And that's on the live show.
I thought I'd stopped the broadcast.
No, we've been live for quite